This is the weekly Health Law News Nugget from Southern Health Lawyers. I'm Rich Sanders.
And this is the Health Law News Nugget for August 28th, 2018. Well, unfortunately, this week we have some sad news that many of y'all may have heard over the weekend. Senator John McCain, Republican from Arizona, passed away after a lengthy battle with cancer. Senator McCain was not only a Navy veteran, combat veteran, and POW during the Vietnam War. He served the state of Arizona and the United States with distinction, 6 terms as a U.S. Senator. Because this is the Health Law News Nugget, though, today, instead of doing a general obituary and memorial of Senator McCain, we're going to talk about his implications for health care and policy in the United States during that time that he served in the U.S. Senate. Probably the most important piece of legislation that Senator McCain worked on was back during the first Bush administration, and that was the Americans with Disabilities Act. Senator McCain had a reputation among his colleagues and the constituents in Arizona as always trying to fight for the little guy. Part of what he did in 1991 was work with President Bush and other leading Republicans in the Senate to develop some bipartisan legislation to assist those Americans with disabilities in accessing public and private accommodations all over the country. It's unusual, isn't it, to talk about bipartisan legislation now 27 years later. It's almost unheard of. But Senator McCain also had a significant impact on healthcare policy as recently as last year in a almost unintentional bipartisan manner. Last July, the Republicans kept starting and stopping, hemming and hawing on trying to repeal and replace the legislation that they call Obamacare, formerly titled the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act of 2010. Well, in a late night vote last July, just a little over a year ago, Senator McCain, ill with this brain cancer that eventually took his life, cast a deciding vote against repeal and replace, which not only put him at odds against President Trump, but really in many respects put him on the outside looking in at Republican Party politics when it comes to healthcare policy. Now, he hadn't been on the floor since December of 2017 to cast any votes, and so his immediate the loss of his life immediately is not going to affect healthcare policy, but in the long term certainly could. Governor Ducey of Arizona is by Arizona law required to appoint a Republican who will sit in Senator McCain's seat for the duration of time that it takes to get a special election held. That should be sometime in 2020, and that person will sit in Senator McCain's seat for the duration of his term. He was just reelected to his 6th term in 2016. So this seat from Arizona is going to be an important part of Republican politics, certainly after, well, let's see, it's August now. It's unlikely that there will be any significant movement on healthcare policy in between now and the midterm elections. But if the Arizona governor appoints somebody and the Republicans get their act together, there could be some activity even in September or October. We'll just have to wait and see on future news nuggets. But for this week, take a moment to think about Senator McCain and the work that he did for Americans regarding healthcare policy and give him thanks. I'm Rich Sanders with Southern Health Lawyers. This is the Health Law News Nugget. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.